What's up guys, I'm Cubing on my mind, and I dropped over a second in just 1 week of practicing, and this is the video explaining exactly how I did that. Also, this is my 100th video, so I want to thank you guys so much for sticking around for so many videos, and here's to many more. So, I'm breaking this up into a week, and I'm going to do an average of 100 on day 0, so before the week starts, so you have a baseline of what I average, and then I'm going to do an average at the end of it on day 8, just so that we know exactly how much I've improved, and we'll see. I'm also going to be setting priorities of what I'm going to focus on each day, so I can do like last layer one day, focus on F2L other days, and other stuff like that, and then put it all together. So, enjoy! Okay, so far into my hour, I have done 2 really cool things. First, I have been doing CS timer scrambles, and then solving my cross on 1 cube, and then checking their solve scramble for the cross I did, and seeing what it would have done in the minimum amount of moves possible. And then I compare my solution, and I think, okay, is this better than mine? Of course it is. Where can I improve? I need to do it like this, not like that. And I just discover new techniques for maximum efficiency. Sometimes this won't always be good for like preserving an F2L pair, but for now, I'm just working on my efficiency, and then I can intentionally be inefficient when I want to preserve an F2L pair. And then the second thing was Jperm 7 tips for an efficient cross every solve. This video is awesome. It's helping me a lot with my efficiency. Most of the stuff I already know, but like I kind of ignore during solves, so I'm trying to implement more of this. This is a great video. With about 38 minutes left, I'm going to start doing cross blind. Now that I've worked on my efficiency, I am going to see how well I can memorize it in inspection. So that is the end of my cross blind and all my cross practicing for the day. I feel like I did a pretty good job. I improved a bit. I got my efficiency down, and I'm happy with that. So now, for the last 15 minutes of my hour, I will just be doing slow turning look-ahead solves. Day 2, I am focusing on F2L. I'm going to be doing some slow turning, just making sure I can really know my F2L pair. Is going to be doing some blind multi-slotting, so like do two F2L pairs blindfold to try to track F2L pairs. I'm also going to focus on trying to get my overall cross and F2L. So basically solving the whole cube except for last layer I'm averaging 8 to 10 seconds right now. As long as I can get down to that 6 and 7s area, I'll be really happy. Okay, so I just finished my average of 100 in cross and F2L. It was like 9 seconds, it wasn't that good, but I was really turning slowly, trying to be as efficient as possible, and I rarely did things incorrectly. I was very efficient and accurate, so I'm glad with that, and I was turning way slower than I usually do. So that's good. I still have about 15 minutes left in my hour, so I'm going to work on doing F2L pairs blindfolded, preferably 2 F2L pairs blindfolded. It is early morning, day 3, so today I'm going to be working on my out, not just last layer, but also some of my F2L Algs. I'm also going to try and learn all new G-perms and in-perms, and then I'm just going to drill them like crazy all over the day. I'm not going to do the time lapse. Today's going to be pretty boring. I will just be doing slow solve. I am going to start doing solves where I just start the timer. It's probably going to take me like a minute or so, because I'm really bad at this. Just to come up with a cross solution of my own, and then try to do the cross solution in my mind. I'm not allowed to turn the cube, and try to figure out where just one F2L pair is going to be. Not the easiest one, because I don't know where all of them are going to be. Since this is really important, I'm doing more than 1 hour today. So day 6, this is probably the most important day in my opinion, because today we are working on blind steps. So we're going to be breaking up the hour into 20 minutes of X cross and 1 cross plus 1 F2L pair if I can pull that off. I can barely do cross blind, so I'm gonna get a ton of DNFs. Then after that, we're going to be doing 20 minutes of solving 2 F2L pairs while blindfolded. So I'm going to be solving an F2L pair while in my mind trying to track the other F2L pair. The last 20 minutes, we're actually gonna break up into 2 parts. We're gonna do 10 minutes. We're gonna be working on last slot plus last layer, and the way where we the algorithm we have to use to insert our last F2L pair. We try to predict what kind of OLL we're going to get. You don't have to worry about the corners, how many edges you're going to get oriented in and what positions. That's all you gotta do. And a way you can tell if you got it right is I like to, while I'm still blindfolded, to try and go ahead and do the beginner's OLL for that. So say I got some variant of this OLL case, and it was like a U2 off, and I predicted that, I'm gonna do a U2 in that. And then if I don't have yellow cross on top, then I know I got it wrong and I mark it as a DNF. And then for the last 10 minutes, we're gonna be focusing on doing a form of FMC kind of style where you memorize your cross solution, put on your blindfold, do it, take it off. Okay, 1. Then you memorize 2 F2L pairs if you can, maybe just 1 if it's too difficult of a case. And then that's 2. Then you blindfold yourself again, so you just count your way up until you're done, and then you punch in that number. I'm shooting for around 5 because that means I can do cross plus 1 F2L pair, then 2 F2L pairs, and that gives me some leeway if I can't get the 2 F2L pairs for working to still get around a 5 or a 6. And remember, even if it's 10-minute intervals you're working with for 20 minutes or even an hour like I am, nothing beats uninterrupted, undistracted, raw focus. So, say I'm gonna work on my look ahead. I'm not just gonna be sitting there slow turning and kind of casually solving while Skype calling with someone. This hour is all the cube, just me and my cube focusing. So I am going to make sure that every single solve isn't casual, nothing is casual. We're trying to get as much done in a week here. We don't have time to sit down and spend 3 hours doing nothing but mindless solving. Okay, day 7. So I'm going to be spending an entire hour just focusing on my look ahead. So I'm going to be turning fairly slowly, really trying to be as fluid as possible. This is going to be a little bit different than slow turning, because this time I'm really gonna go for maximum look ahead and try to speed it up a little bit more than my slow turning day. And I'm gonna try to incorporate everything I've learned over the entire week so that tomorrow when I do my average of 100, I'll already have some practice in incorporating all the stuff I've learned into actual solves. I'm also gonna spend some of this time, maybe like 10-15 minutes, on going through and checking some of my OLLs and figure out what OLL-CP they are. And since I already know COLL and some ZBLL, I can go ahead and predict what kind of PLL case I'm going to get, just to speed up my last layer a little bit. My last layer is already pretty efficient, but we're going to do a little bit of that, and I'm also going to re-drill those new G-perms and N-perms I learned on Alg Day, just because I feel like in solves sometimes I get them and I start doing my other Alg and I have to undo it and then do the right one, so I got to try and forget that other one and just move on. So I just finished my average of 100, and here it is. Look at that. I don't know how well you can see it, but it's 12.467. And my mean is a 12.425. My best single was at 8.5, so not better than that last average of 100, but that last one was a skip. This was a full step. And also, let's see, my worst time was a 15, and my worst time on that other average of 100 was at 18. So I was much more consistent this time, and let's check something else. Okay, so I've got 4 9s this time versus last one I only got 3 8s and 9s in total. So 4 9s and 1 3, so that's 5 sub-10s versus my other average only had 1 sub-10. And then my majority was in 11s. I got 27 11s versus last time was majority 12s and 13s right there. So I improved by more than a second in just 1 week. That is insane. Mind blown right now. Actually, that one of those sub-10s, my 9.5 in there, was actually a full step with a G-perm, but if I got my old G-perm, it would have been like an 11 or a 12. But since my new G-perm's so fast, I was able to sub 10 it. And those G-perms showed up a lot. Like, I think 15 or 20 out of that average of 100 were just G-perm cases. So I'm really glad that I learned to drill those G-perms. That came in super handy. Another thing that really helped me out was the inspection practice, because my inspection has always stunk. So being able to not only be better at cross, to be able to track an F12 pair, but almost predict where my pieces are gonna be, helped me out so much. If I did this like 3 or 4 times, I could get sub 10. Like, my mind is blown.